Yeah, we can hear.
Hello.
Yeah, very much.
Is it okay? Can you hear me?
आवाज आ रही है.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes.
First of all, I would like to thank Indresh Kumar Singh ji and Forum for Awareness of National Security, especially my good friend and a former colleague at the Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis, Professor Mehtab Alam Rizvi, for inviting me to share my thoughts and ideas on the subject. Before I come to Pakistan Tahaffuz movement and why Pakistan's political security establishment is after them, let me briefly talk about the nature of Pakistani state. Soon after the partition in 1947, Muhammad Ali Jinnah's Pakistan took a quantum leap in a direction that is not quite appreciated within the region and beyond. Pakistan was imagined, though insufficiently, by its founding fathers, especially Muhammad Ali Jinnah, as the homeland for Muslims of the Indian subcontinent.
आवाज नहीं आ रही है सर.
Supposed to pursue
आवाज सुनाई नहीं पड़ रहा है.
destiny without being threatened or dominated by the Hindu majority of India. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Anishu? Hello.
सर बीच में आवाज कट रही है.
Can you hear me? Okay. All right. So I say that Muhammad Ali Jinnah wanted Pakistan to be as the homeland of the Indian subcontinent, where they were supposed to pursue their civilizational destiny without being threatened or dominated by the so-called Hindu majority of India. A fairly large number of academics within India and elsewhere have their reservations about Muslim League's idea of Pakistan. However, most of them tend to agree with Stephen P. Cohen that the idea of Pakistan proved to be stronger than the state of Pakistan in 1947. So now coming back to the present scenario, the present day Pakistan is infamously known as the epicenter of global terrorism, which provides safe haven to some of the most dangerous terror outfits and extremist ideologies. Given the complex nature of various institutions and their relations with each other, it is quite challenging to describe and define the Pakistani state. It belongs to a category in making, what I call a category in making. Many people term it abnormal state or hybrid state. So in that context, it is neither a democracy nor an authoritarian military dictatorship, or for that matter, an Islamic theocracy. Indeed, it appears to be more or less the disproportionate combination of all three. The nature of Pakistani state is such that it fails its citizens every now and then. The discontent and disgruntlement among the Muhajirs, Baloch, Hazaras, and more recently in Pashtuns is the telling testimony of Pakistani state's failure in serving its people. In recent past, questions were raised by ethnic Pashtuns regarding the extrajudicial killings and other injustices done by Pakistan's law enforcement agencies, especially Pakistan Army and Inter-Services Intelligence, which is known as ISI. Founded in 2014 by 8 students of Gomal University, Mahsood Tahaffuz movement, which later became Pashtun Tahaffuz movement, has now become a symbol of Pashtun voice in the country. These students launched a fierce campaign against the widespread enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings. They also asked Pakistan to remove landmines and other ordinances in the entire Pashtun tribal areas that were actually killing the Pashtuns itself. Although the Pashtuns has had their grievances against both the political and security establishment of the country, the movement gained momentum in early 2018 when a young and aspiring Pashtun model, Naqibullah Mahsood, as mentioned by my friend earlier, was killed in Karachi by security forces on some false charges. So despite complete media blackout in the country, their following have increased and very substantially they have increased. Their movements so far have been peaceful. However, they do not refrain from directly calling the names. Slogans like "Ye jo dahshat gardi hai, iske piche vardi hai" have become quite common in their gatherings and meetings. So instead of addressing the genuine concerns of the Pashtun community, the political security elites have decided to resort to an iron hand approach. Pakistan's all-powerful army has branded PTM a part of fifth generation warfare, which is being manipulated by hostile external elements. As of now, there is no evidence of that they are taking any financial support to keep the movement alive and kicking. However, military has dubbed them as Afghan and Indian agents. Why does military accuse PTM of having funds from enemies of Pakistan, the so-called enemies of Pakistan? This is because it can pave the way for a legal ban and a violent crackdown. This is a time-tested method of Pakistan army to discredit any genuine movement. And if I remember correctly, back in mid-1970s, the National Awami Party was first implicated in a fabricated case and subsequently banned by the Supreme Court of Pakistan, later advocating that and actually led to the arrest of various top and leadership of the party. So, like National Party, Pakistan military is now trying to discredit the PTM. The strategy, this particular strategy legitimizes military's high-handed approach in the tribal areas on the one hand and allows it to strengthen its position with regard to national narrative. I mean, if I remember correctly, DGISPR, which is the military wing of, military's media wing, the DGISPR General Asif Ghafoor, in a press conference back in on 29th of April 2019, unequivocally from Afghan and Indian intelligence agencies for creating trouble inside Pakistan. He warned PTM of consequences and asserted that their time was up. This shows the nature of the state and its powerful institutions' attitude towards their own people, who for one reason or the other raise their voices in a democratic manner. In reality, what is happening? Actually, Pashtuns are demanding their constitutional rights. They are asking for accountability from the security establishment, which has been using war on terror as an excuse to kidnap, eliminate, and intimidate people who are very much peace loving and non-violent. There are a number of reasons behind Pakistan military considering PTM a threat. Firstly, it can revive the old movement of Pashtunistan. The idea of uniting Pashtuns of both sides, I mean Afghanistan and Pakistan, has been a national movement predating the partition of British India and creation of Pakistan to draw large gifts political that they could transform into secessionist movement, which might threaten other ethnic groups to further assert their identity. Secondly, PTM challenges security establishments post-2001 narrative in the region. It actually threatens the narrative. For the last several decades, the tribal areas were put under strict control by Pakistan Army. It is no different from what British used to do. They had named it like double frontier policy, under which Durand Line formed a working boundary between tribal areas of Pakistan, earlier it was called FATA, and Afghanistan. But the tribal area was also separated from the rest of the areas, like the rest of the mainland Pakistan. The area was often used as a launching pad in the region. The tribal areas were kept in a constitutional, legal, and information black hole due to all these reasons. It was in this area that military trained its strategic assets, the terrorists, which we call them, and unleashed them against Afghanistan and India. Although the military went behind Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan quite late and launched Operation Jarbe, as mentioned by the earlier speaker, which resulted in large-scale destruction in Pashtun territories. It also brought down a number of attacks by TTP against the security establishment. However, if the recent reports are correct, then the military is again trying to co-opt some of these guys, and those who are ready to accept certain conditions of the military are now getting resettled in the bordering areas. Thirdly, PTM comes in the way of their larger plans to use proxy forces for geopolitical and geostrategic objectives in the region. Military is anxiously waiting for Americans to leave Afghanistan so that it could pursue its objectives without any hurdle. In fact, Pakistan's security establishment is making plans to get Taliban in power once again. It is here the PTM challenges their grand design, which, if implemented, would result in more and more destruction of the Pashtun territory, in the Pashtun territory. So this is the situation. So now I would like to stop here, and if there is something, if there is some questions I can take up, I would be very, very happy to take that. Thank you very much.